It starts with a text message to the wrong number. "Hi, is this Jessica?" Just 5 friendly words on a Tuesday afternoon. You reply that they have the wrong person. They apologize, they're warm, they keep talking. And that single accidental conversation has already cost Americans an estimated $75 billion in just 4 years. This is the story of a global machine built to break your heart and empty your bank account at the same time. But stay with me, because the person typing those sweet messages on the other end of your phone may not be free to stop. Investigators call it pig butchering. The name is cold and deliberate. The victim is the pig. First, you fatten the animal, you feed it, you make it trust you, and only when it is comfortable and full do you take everything. It almost never begins with money. It begins with attention. A wrong number, a friend request, a match on a dating app. The photo is usually a beautiful young stranger. The messages are patient, and they come every single day. For weeks, sometimes months, there is no scam at all. Just conversation. Good morning texts. How was your day? A person who finally listens. By design, you are not being robbed yet. You are being befriended. Let me walk you through how it actually unfolds, because the genius of it is the patience. Picture a message that arrives on an ordinary evening. A warm stranger, maybe a successful investor, maybe just a lonely soul like you. For the first 2 weeks, they never mention money once. They remember your dog's name. They text good morning before your alarm. They send a photo of their dinner and ask about your day. To a widow eating alone, to a divorced man in a quiet apartment, this is not a scam yet. It feels like being seen again. Only after the bond is real does the investment slip into the conversation, almost by accident. A screenshot of profits. A casual, "I wish I could help you do this too." They never push, they let you ask. That is the trap closing, disguised as your own idea. Then, gently, the money appears. Not as a request, as a secret. "My uncle taught me how to trade crypto," they say. "I've made so much. I could show you. Just a little, to start." They are not asking you for a loan. They are offering you a gift. You put in a small amount, $200. You watch a slick app show your balance climb. You withdraw a little, and it actually works. The money comes back plus profit. That first successful withdrawal is the hook. Now you believe. The trading platform they send looks flawless. A real logo, live charts, a customer service chat that answers instantly. You deposit $200 and watch it grow to $300. You withdraw $50 and it lands in your account. Everything works. That is the point. Everything is designed to work once. So you put in more, then more. The app glows green. Your new partner celebrates every gain with you. The retirement account, the second mortgage, the kids' college fund. The numbers on the screen are enormous now, and none of them are real. Now the numbers climb. You move 1,000, then 10,000. The stranger cheers you on, invests alongside you, shows their own soaring balance. The green numbers become a second life. You check them before bed. You dream about what they mean. You have been fattened. The app is fake. The balance is a number someone typed. The profits are bait. And the moment you try to pull it all out, the story changes. There's a tax you must pay first. A fee, a frozen account. Always one more payment to unlock what was never there. Then comes the day you try to take it all out. And the wall appears. A 20% tax to release the funds. Then an anti-money laundering fee. Then a deposit to prove the account is active. Each one, they promise, is the last. There is no last. By the time the truth lands, some victims have wired money they borrowed, money they were loaned by relatives, money against their own home. The person they trusted most in the world never existed at all. Then, one day, the messages stop. The app is gone. The beautiful stranger vanishes. And a person who once had a home and a savings account sits in the dark, holding a phone, realizing the only real thing in the entire relationship was their own loneliness. According to the Federal Trade Commission and the FBI, the victims are not who you'd expect. They are teachers, nurses, engineers, retired veterans, smart, careful people targeted precisely because they had savings and someone to grieve. Understand just how large this has become. The FBI's own complaint center now logs billions of dollars in crypto investment fraud losses in a single year, and officials believe the real number is far higher, because most victims are too ashamed to ever file a report. Some victims lose a few $1,000s. Others lose everything they spent 40 years building. Investigators say the shame is often the cruelest part. Many never tell their families. Some never report it at all. They just quietly start over in their 60s with nothing. For years, that was the whole story. A faceless scam run from somewhere far away, impossible to trace. But then investigators started asking a different question. Not just who is losing the money, but who is actually sending the messages. And the answer is the part almost no one sees coming. Now turn the phone around and look at the hand that was typing. Because the story on that side is its own kind of horror, and it is one the public almost never hears. The person texting you "good morning" is very often a prisoner. According to the United Nations and multiple human rights groups, the scams are run out of guarded compounds in Southeast Asia, mostly in Myanmar, Cambodia, and Laos. It often begins the same way, with a message that sounds like a gift. A recruiter offers a bright young graduate a job abroad. Good salary, data entry, customer support, free flight. Families are proud. The worker signs. The plane lands in a place they were never actually going. The workers inside were not criminals. Many were job seekers. They answered an ad for a customer service role or an IT job with good pay in a neighboring country. They packed a bag, they got on a plane, and when they arrived, their passports were taken. They are driven to a compound ringed with high walls and guards. Their passport is taken at the door, and they are told the real job. Sit at this desk, run these scripts, break these strangers, meet the quota, or face what happens to those who don't. Behind the walls, reports describe rows of young people at computers, each running dozens of fake romances at once, working 15 and 16-hour days. If they don't hit their quota, if they try to refuse, the punishments are severe. Investigators and survivors describe workers monitored every hour, scored on how much they steal, punished when they fail. Some are beaten, some are shocked. Some, according to rights groups, are sold to another compound when they stop being profitable. Their crime was answering a job ad. The United Nations estimates that in Myanmar and Cambodia alone, hundreds of thousands of people may be trapped in these operations. An entire shadow economy built on two kinds of captives at once, which is the quiet tragedy at the heart of this whole machine. The lonely retiree in America and the trafficked graduate in a locked room are both being crushed by the same handful of men counting the money in between. Two strangers on a phone, one losing their savings, one losing their freedom, and in between them, invisible, the people who profit from both. And that money is the thread. When you send crypto to the fake platform, it doesn't vanish. It moves, split into pieces, pushed through dozens of wallets, laundered across exchanges to try to wash away where it came from and where it's going. But investigators learn to follow it anyway. Blockchain analysts map the flow, cluster the wallets, and watch the stolen millions drain toward a small number of controllers. Slowly, a faceless scam started to grow in outline, a shape, and then names. Those people, the bosses at the top, believed they were untouchable. The compound sat across borders, protected by corruption and distance. The money moved through cryptocurrency, bouncing across the world in minutes. For a long time they were right, but money always leaves a trail. And in 2026, investigators in the United States finally started following it all the way back to the door. It took something rare to go further. Cooperation across borders that almost never happens. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, the FBI worked alongside the Dubai Police and China's Ministry of Public Security to move against the network at the same time. The results were announced in 2026, a coordinated takedown that led to at least 276 arrests and dismantled at least 9 scam centers used to run cryptocurrency investment fraud against Americans. At the center of the U.S. case was a name most victims had never heard. Prosecutors identified an alleged manager and recruiter tied to an operation known as the thik Company, a scam brand that reportedly went by the nickname Pixie. In March of 2026, a federal grand jury in the Southern District of California returned an indictment. A man named Thet Min Yi and a co-defendant still at large were charged with wire fraud conspiracy and money laundering conspiracy. Prosecutors allege he helped manage the compounds where the scams were produced, the very machines that turned trafficked workers and stolen crypto into a river of American losses. He is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty in court. The pressure has been building for a while. Earlier, authorities announced the arrest of an alleged leader of one of the largest scam conglomerates of all, a business empire prosecutors say was built on forced labor and stolen savings. One by one, the ghosts at the top were becoming defendants. And this was not one lonely arrest. It was part of a widening war. Months earlier, authorities had moved against other alleged kingpins of the scam economy, including a takedown tied to a sprawling group accused of running fraud on an industrial scale. For the first time, the men who thought distance in crypto made them ghosts were being named in indictments, photographed, and walked into courtrooms. The machine finally had faces. Consider what a raid on one of these compounds actually looks like. Officers move in on a fortified building that, from the road, could pass for an ordinary office park. Inside, they find the servers, the scripts, the burner phones, and they find the people chained to the work. When the raids come, workers can be freed by the hundreds. Young people who had been missing for a year, whose families had feared them dead, walk out into daylight for the first time in months, blinking and unsure it is real. But even that victory has a shadow. According to reporting from NPR in 2026, many people pulled out of Cambodia's compounds had no passport, no money, and no way home. Freed from one nightmare, they were stranded in another. Experts who study these networks will tell you why they are so hard to kill. They sit in border regions where law enforcement is thin and corruption is thick. Shut one down, and the operators simply carry the laptops across a river and reopen by the weekend. And it is getting more dangerous, not less. The scripts are now polished with artificial intelligence. The fake profiles use deep-faked photos and voices. The next Jessica who texts you may be more convincing than any human ever could be. That is why the 2026 takedown mattered so much, and why it was still not the end. 276 arrests, 9 centers dismantled, indictments in a U.S. federal court, a real blow to a machine that had felt untouchable. And, everyone admits, only a beginning. Here is the hard truth investigators will tell you. 276 arrests is enormous, and it is also a fraction. For every compound that falls, others reopen across the next border by morning. So the fight is bigger than any single arrest. It runs through your phone, through a stranger's smile, through a bank in one country and a compound in another, all the way to a courtroom in San Diego. Which is why the most powerful weapon in this entire story is not a warrant. It's you, knowing how it works before the first message ever arrives. So let's turn what investigators learned into armor you can wear. Because almost every one of these scams shows the same warning signs, if you know where to look. So remember the shape of it. A stranger who finds you by accident, who is a little too kind, a little too soon, who eventually, always, has a way to make you money. That is not romance. That is the fattening. Red flag 1. A stranger contacts you out of nowhere, wrong number, random friend request, and is unusually warm, unusually fast. Real connections are built slowly. Manufactured ones are built on a schedule. Red flag 2. They refuse or fail to video call or always have an excuse. Red flag 3. Sooner or later, the conversation turns to crypto, to a special platform, to an opportunity only they can show you. Red flag 4. To withdraw your own money, you're told to pay a fee first. No real partner you have never met in person will teach you to invest through an app they send you. If a withdrawal requires a new fee to release your own money, it was never your money, it was bait. Any one of those, on its own, should stop you cold. Together, they are not a relationship and not an investment. They are a script running exactly as designed, aimed at the most trusting part of you. And if you are thinking of a parent, an uncle, a friend who lives alone and has been talking about someone new online, do not mock them. Do not lecture. Just gently ask to meet this person on a video call. Their reaction will tell you everything. And if you have already lost something to this, hear this clearly. It was not stupidity. It was a billion-dollar industry engineered by professionals aimed at your kindness. The shame belongs to them, not to you. Report it to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center. Tell someone. Every report becomes a data point, a wallet address, a thread that investigators can pull to reach the next door. So freeze the money if you can. Contact your bank the instant you suspect it. Stop all payments no matter what threat or promise comes next. Screenshot everything. The wallet addresses, the messages, the app. Those screenshots are evidence, and evidence is how these networks finally fall. The 276 who were arrested started, in a way, as a single traced transaction. One victim who spoke up. One trail that someone refused to stop following. Somewhere tonight, a phone is buzzing in a stranger's hand. A screen glows in a locked room half a world away, and a message is being sent that begins with nothing more than a friendly hello. Now you know what that hello really is. The question is no longer whether the message will come, it's whether you'll recognize it when it does. If this story opened your eyes, share it with one person who needs to hear it. That single share could be the thing that saves someone's savings or someone's life. Subscribe and stay safe out there.